So she was like, what do you think about this room? So I would do this room.
Yeah.
But for a stranger, I don't know how that, you know
right.
What I mean? So I don't know. But what I was saying, I was in middle school.
Mm-hmm.
And I go into my sister's room. This is like, and when we now they say middle school. We called it junior high school.
Right.
Which started in the what was it, 7th grade. Is it okay? So it's 7th grade. So I go into my sister's room and so I asked her. I said, "Do you ever get sad for no reason?" Like that was me. Those were the words that I had for There wasn't a conversation about depression. There wasn't that.
Right.
We were pray about it culture, community.
Right.
And so she was like, no, and she wasn't being, rude or weird. It was just like, no, why would I get sad for no reason? And I was like, oh, okay, bet. But I knew something was off, right? So I'm not saying that I should have been on, like, immediately on meds, but I wish that there was a conversation around.
Yeah, I was about to say
mental health.
There needed to probably be some sort of.
There wasn't, and because there wasn't, that's 7th grade. I started my period in the 6th grade. Okay, so I'm
telling you it's connected.
I'm gonna
right.
connect. Okay, but let me tell you. So I started my period in the 6th grade, and I had the worst all the way up until menopause, which I went through menopause at 40. Thank God for early menopause. But in 6th grade, I started my period, and I had the worst cramps in the world, and I always did, like violently throwing up, all the things, right? So in somewhere around maybe 8th grade, the cramps are so crippling. I get prescribed Motrin, like a high dose, like maybe 800 milligrams of Motrin.
Wow.
And the cramps were so bad that the Motrin really didn't help the cramps, but it did help me sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And I started, if 2 will help me sleep, 4 will really help me sleep.
Right.
And I was doing that.
And what grading by this time?
Maybe 8th grade.
Wow.
And then I started using, that's the only medicine I had. And I'm a church girl.
Right.
So weed will send me to hell, and
right.
So that's where I was.
Mm-hmm.
But pills are okay because there's nothing in the Bible about Motrin.
Right. Yeah.
So now,
and it's sold in stores. It's legal. It's prescribed.
It's prescribed.
Yeah.
Got it from a doctor, a white one. Okay. So I started taking medicine for more than just cramps.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's how I was medicating sadness.
In general. Yeah.
And I didn't know, sadness from depression.
Right.
But I knew, and not the sadness I could deal with. It's the sadness for no reason. Like, why am I for no reason crying like this? And for me, it, was bipolar. Like, and I could go from being really, really sad and like I should not be here on the planet.
And let's pause for a second to even talk about the evolution of that, because the mental health industry on bipolar is relatively new. Like, prior to saying it, bipolar, we called it manic depression.
Yeah.
And so like, and this was things that like you got psychosomatic treatments for, like you could easily get lobotomized for,
Oh, speaking of lobotomized, hold on.
Yeah.
So, but I was let me finish that thought before I go. So when I would be like super happy, I didn't connect that to something still off. I connected that to God has blessed me, and
Right.
God will bless you too.
You didn't
And
the highs and the lows
I
of
thought the highs were God's blessing, but they were too high.
right.
Like, even I could feel that something. I just thought I was just incredibly anointed. You know, I was the child of God, and like I'm talking too fast and too loud. And
Yeah.
I'm too crunk. I'm too hypey. You know. So lobotomized. So I didn't get diagnosed until 2013. So in 2019, I was on my third psychiatrist, and after, you know, the psychiatrists give a fuck about your childhood. They want to talk about meds and meds only, right? So, and he was like, you know, I've already prescribed and I can't go no more, you know. And he was like, I think you should have electric shock therapy.
Wow. In 2013.
2019.
2019.
And I was
literally
like,
6 years ago.
I'm actually not going to do that. I'm actually...
We're still doing electric shock therapy.
That's what I asked him. And he said, well, it's not like you've read. I guess he could look at my face like, this bitch is looking at me crazy. And I was. And I was like, yeah, that's going to be a hard pass. I'm not doing electric shock therapy.
And I wonder if they offer that to
Kids.
how many, children and
Right.
of what cultures.
And of what culture.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
You know, and it's funny because I made a video about this yesterday. So, I did not do that, but, so I leave his office and I go to, I had I don't know if it was a suicide attempt. I know that I took a bunch of pills. I don't know that I was like, I'm ready to die. I've never been, I'm ready to die. I've been, I don't want to live in this kind of pain. And if that means death, then that's what that means.
Right.
You know, so, but around that time, I did take a bunch of pills. Okay. And the next day, I just slept the whole day. And then that next day, I was like, yeah, I'm not taking pills anymore. So that was kind of my first time going cold turkey, right? So, I was really scared to be alone at that time. So when my son would go to work, I'd sit in the parking lot of Target because I didn't want to be by myself. So I called my doctor's assistant, and I was like, "Can you schedule me to like see a therapist, somebody that I can talk to?" Because you know, and he said to me, "Yeah, but I need to know what you're going to talk about." And I was like, no, it makes sense, you know? And he was like, yeah, I can't schedule you an appointment if I don't know what you're going to say. I'm like, I'm going to say HIPAA stuff, you know? And he was like, I'm not, you know? So now I'm mad, you know? And I'm like, and to my surprise, actually, he gave it back to me. He was like, you know? So finally I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Okay, I will just find a bridge to jump off of. Fuck it. And I hung up. And I never heard from that facility ever again.
That's very interesting that they did not, and it was a healthcare facility?
Yeah, and I the reason I don't say the name is because maybe they got their shit together and I don't want somebody who goes, because it's a major one.
Right.
In LA. And I don't want somebody to be like, oh, I'm never fucking with it. I don't want that.
Yeah.
I don't want them to have that kind of smoke. But they needed smoke. And I really think it was that guy problem. I think that they didn't call because it would expose what he said. It would expose his conversation. I don't know that was that facility.
Right. Gotcha.
I'm never going to be convinced that it is their policy you have to say what you're going to talk about to see a therapist. I'm never going to be convinced that, I don't know what was up his ass that day, you know, but I was like, it was just the level of sadness, you know, so that, you know, there that was that. And so I um, stopped taking meds. And it was during the worst time. Like, I was living in a house, my son and I were living in a house in Pomona, and the owners sold the house. It was, for sale, and it eventually sold, and so we had to go. And, but we didn't have anywhere to go. So we started living in, like, motel, hotel, motels, Holiday Inns. Okay.
Right.
And but I'm doing this with no meds because now I don't want to take anything. Like
I think I met you during that period.
Period. Yeah. So I'm in the motels and I'm trying to teach a class and I'm trying to live my life and I'm trying to, I'm trying to do it. And my son, just who he was saved my life. Like, he wasn't like taking care of me like, oh mom, it wasn't that, but the kind of person he was. Like, we never were hungry. We never were without. We always had rent for the next morning. And I don't know if you know the journey of having to pay rent every fucking day.
Right.
But he was always affirming. He was always like, Mom, you are doing it. Like, damn, you are doing it, which gave me energy to do it more. But I'm doing it with I'm not taking meds. I'm not going back to the mental health facility.
So you at this time, you have to continue to thrive in your life while you're also coming down from no more chemicals. So how do you show up when everything's kind of going jagged now from the highs and the lows?
Looking back, I know I look fucked up. Like, looking back, I just I did. I know I must have looked raggedy. Like, I know I showed up to class like, does this bitch have this on again? I mean, but that's not what because you gotta show up, right? And I'm in class, like, there were nights and I'm teaching class, and I was like, my rent is due at 9 a.m. and it's 10 p.m. and I sell art, and I had books at the time, so I was like, okay, rent is 5 books, so so many weird things happen. Like, I remember one day we were in a motel still, and by the way, the motel, I was always like, it was always home. There was always fresh flowers. I always had my clothes hung up. It was always beautiful.
Well, you know what? This is what I always noticed about you. The exterior circumstance of you doesn't give depression. And when I say exterior, I mean your home, your person, how you carry yourself, your hair. Like, it always exudes joy and spirit, like, just light.
You know what's funny is, like, I do present well, but people who present well get shit treatment. Because the doctors feel like, because I'm not a problem to the receptionist, because I sit quietly in the waiting room.
Right.
Because she must be...
You put your shoes on the right feet, yeah.
And I'm, and I do have, like, I get great gigs, and so when the doctors do, like, ask you about your history, or, what do you do, how do you make a living, how do you, they're wowed sometimes by the story, like, you make a living from your art? And I do, and you sell books? Do. I mean, how much are these books?
Well, because what is giving is consistency.
It's giving that, but they don't know the fucking hustle. They don't do. Know? I mean, shit. My rent was $2,000. Like, even on Crenshaw, my rent was $2,000 for 400 square feet. And I don't know if you know the math. If you can, I don't know how many motherfucking times $20 goes into $2,000, but that's how that shit was happening.
Right.
Right. And at the end of the month, that shit was you fucking exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
You are exhausted, and the energy it takes to be black and woman. And a woman of a certain age and a certain size, because that's a prejudice by itself.
Yes, ma'am.
And then, and at the mental health facility, I don't even have the luxury as a skinny white girl who's acting a whole bitch ass asshole to the receptionist. I don't, because the police are gonna come in and ask her to please calm down. They just gonna arrest my big black ass. I can't even show my ass like her. So I don't even have the luxury of full out acting how I feel.
Right.
It's a different thing. It's not, they not like us. And I'm clear, I know that, and not only I'm black, but I'm black in this body with a ring in my nose and and bald headed too. It's a thing. That, you know what I mean? So there's
so many layers to it, because like in my case, being of darker skin, it's like it just adds another layer of oppression. There's so many, you got the ageism, and you got the cultural depression, and you got the sexual depression, gender, sexuality. It's like it's just like check the boxes. And the more boxes you check, the lower down the rung you go.
You go. Exactly. And it's weird. And as a person who presents well, if I'm on the street and I'm really in the thick of the depression, I'm very snappy. Which is not my normal personality, right? But I gotta snap out of it because I don't look like, oh, she just got some mental shit going on. I don't get that pass.
No. I'm
just gonna get beat down like a bitch in the street because who the fuck are you? You know what I mean? Then I'm not gonna get the, oh wait a minute, something's clearly off. Stall her out. I'm not gonna get that kind of stall.
No.
I'm gonna get, bitch, I don't know who the fuck you think I'm gonna get that from the other black woman who has had a rough day too, from the white girl, from the white man. I'm gonna get that finished.
I've even noticed that, and I'll say this because I work in the field of homelessness, right? So when I'm not doing my art, which I love but doesn't pay me well, my day job is I work with veterans and homeless, and so I see a lot. I do a lot of mental health, like a lot. And so our numbers are up in mental health, especially in LA. So I do all this in LA, where 66% of the homeless population is African American. 66%. We're only 9% of LA population, but 66% of those that are unhoused are African American.
Let me turn the water on. Turn this off. You don't have to turn it off.
Okay.
I'm just gonna turn this off.
See some of your art. This is Jaha's place. It's so beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes, it is. So what ends up happening is because people's encounters with us in that capacity, like not on all levels, not in all classes, not in all neighborhoods, right? But you encounter us at the 7-Eleven and somebody's rah, 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 right? Or you encounter us at the gas station, or, wherever it is, or standing out in the middle of the road. You might be driving on your way to work and somebody's there shaking a cup when you're trying to get on the freeway. So what ends up happening, because they don't know us in a lot of situations, that's how they think they know us.
Oh,
because they don't see none of their neighbors look like us. None of the kids at their children's schools look like us. This is where they see us. And so then when they see you somewhere, I notice there's always like kind of a pause, like, well, let me see how it talks. Let me see how it walks. let me see. Okay. And then there's confusion. Like, well, wait a minute. That's not how I know you. And then they have to like kind of, because like I'm looking like, well, what does this have to say? I'm like, oh, they expect me to be crazy. I'm like, okay, so they're, and in their mind, and I've noticed that, and I don't want to say in white, but also Latino, especially a lot in the Latino circles.
Really?
Yeah, it's an expectation of like, okay, what is she gonna nut up? Is she? And it's just kind of like, just trying to buy something at the store. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, you know me from, or you think you know me from here, and your expectation is what, that I'm gonna either like dribble a basketball or break dance or break out into a rap or act crazy. Yeah, these are or even there's also a thing where I feel like some, especially in Latino cultures, there's a very forwardness. And I didn't even notice. I was like, what is this? And I'm like, oh, I'm also a prostitute. That's right. So, because it's like almost like a little bit too heavy. Right? And I'm just like, wow, I'm like really getting heavily come on to here. Oh, okay, that's right. Because if you drive down Western or Figueroa.
If you're on Western.
Right. Yeah,
especially Fig.
Western and Fig, you can have me or someone in a black body who looks similar to me for, I don't know, 20, 30, $40, depending on what you want.
It's that whole Figueroa culture. Like, there is an area on Fig where women, black mostly, are actually topless. Like, and you just, and it's okay.
Yeah. In bikinis.
And people from outside, they don't know, but you get on Fig and they just are. And
the sad part is like, you'll look and she's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, right. I'm like, oh, look at her. I'm like, she making her money. And I'm just like, and then, and so if I'm driving by seeing it and I know why that is as a black woman, I don't know how it's interpreted in other places. I know how she got there. I know a bit of her story. I may have lived a lot of it.
Listen.
Yeah.
So when my son moved out, when we were in LA, he got his own place. And I was not committed to paying $2,000 a month for where we were by myself. Like, I only had that place because it's me and my son, and he needs to be housed, and I want him somewhere safe and beautiful, and
Yeah.
But when he got his place, I was like, you know what, I'm good. And so I gave my notice, and I was working as a home health aide. I gave my note, and this is what a lot of people don't know. So I give my notice, and I'm out the next month, and I give away everything except for 2 bags of clothes. When I say bags, I mean backpacks. I give away my books. I give away and a lot of my like home decor went to my son's apartment. I moved into. I lived in a spa, in the Korean spa downtown, in the Grand Spa, on 6th and Virgin, and it's $35 a night.
You get 12 hours.
You get to. I ain't got to check out is at 10. I don't have to be at work until 11. Bet. It's $35 a night. And people didn't know, and I didn't present like, I was like, I had 2 backpacks, and I think the thing about me that I never woes me homelessness.
Right.
But I was homeless, but I was a different kind of homeless. Even when I was living in the motels, I'm still homeless, but I'm still paying over $3,000 a month because it's $100 a day. So I never got to, like it's a privilege, but I never got that homeless stall out, like,
right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I never got like, she is homeless and doing it. No, I was homeless and living in a motel. I was homeless and, and so then I was in the spa, but as long as my son was cool, I was cool, so I'm in the spa, and I just kind of like, but there were a bunch of us, and we were regulars. And we would meet every night, and nobody really in the spa, we didn't speak to each other. We just there are sleeping rooms, so, and there are about, like, in each sleeping room, there are about maybe 20, not 20, like maybe under 20 big, like lazy boys. And there was a chair that I always had. And there was another black woman. She always had the spot near the outlet. Mm-hmm. And I called her K-Day because she would listen to her rap music real loud. So I always called her K-Day. I don't know her real name. So K-Day always had the chair by the outlet. And so-and-so had this. And there was an old lady who snored. And K-Day would always get into it with the snore. It was a thing. Like, we were regulars.
Yeah.
And nobody knew anybody's story. And there were black women. There were white women. There were Korean women. And there was this one white woman. You would never guess she lived in the spot. She would get up and we'd get dressed together. I'm putting on my shit to go to take care of this old lady. She's putting on her slacks, and she a bad bitch when she get dressed. Mm-hmm. So she stands outside. She's waiting for her Uber, right? And then we see each other back at night.
Yeah. There's so many levels to homelessness. Yeah. And yeah, it's not just living in a tent, for sure. No. It's not just living in the car. It's not living in the RV. Because I also worked for LASA for a while too. So mm-hmm. LASA is the LA. It's the mother of all the homelessness. So like it's government. Okay. And so like basically all the funding for like People's Concern or PATH or Salvation Army, it comes from LASA in California. Okay. Yeah. So like they get, like our budget was $733 million. Oh, okay. So yeah, so they give grants to everybody, mm-hmm. and then everybody does their, stuff in their spot. So, but now that I'm working for another organization and we house them, like the caseworkers bring them from shelters, but a lot of, there's like a big business starting in the interim mm-hmm. between homelessness and housing, especially because the Olympics are coming. Oh. So we need an interim space. Like, okay, so we can't get them housed right away, but we need to get them out of sight. And so the interim spaces are increasing. Wow. Like, yeah. So you don't have a home, but you do have some place where, yeah. Mm-hmm. And this is what the reason I point that out is because it's still homelessness, and everything that's in common with like whatever your situation is, whether you're at the spa, whether you are tricking on Fig and you get a hotel for the night and a couple Johns, a little cash in your pocket, whatever the situation is, it's just like you said, everything is today. Like the rent is due today, whether it's $35, $100. Yeah, I got to get to bed today. I got to be down there by 7 or the doors are going to close. I got to be in line by 4. Like when I wake up, I got to eat today. And it's not that living on that type of urgency every single day is very wearing. Because like when you have a home, because I'm like this. End of the month. Look. Let me tell you how I'm like this. If there's food in the refrigerator and I got my streaming services are all working and I got clean laundry, I don't have to leave this mug for 5-6 days. Listen. I'll get into bed with my books, my little tablet. Listen. And you can't do that when you're homeless. Baby. You can't relax.
Rent is due at 9.
Exactly. You cannot relax. You don't have a refrigerator that's like, I go every Friday, or I do my laundry every Thursday. It is not, you go every day to get food, if you get food.
Food is after rent. Food is, do I have the money for the rent tomorrow?
Yeah.
And then I'll get what's left over.
Food is that, yes. And I might be ordering off the dollar menu, which is no longer a dollar. Yeah.
So, right. And so, like, you will eat healthy when you get a place.
Yes.
Because right now,
I'm living.
I can't do
vegetables. And it's not even check to check. Exactly.
I can't do fruit because it's going to go bad. It's about this dollar menu.
Yeah. So, even in the interim, like I had 3 intakes Friday. and all three of them were in some sort of when they show up with a caseworker, they have some sort of interim housing. And so a lot of losses funding too is like they'll rent out a whole hotel. Oh, we got plenty of them, like the Mayflower downtown, and then we got there's the Ramada Inn. Like sometimes we'll get where the hotel's about to close or sell the property. We'll rent it out, and then we'll put a bunch of homeless people in it. And so then they're waiting on a voucher or waiting to be placed. So there's like a lot of interim housing. But again, when you're living in a hotel, even though you got a microwave and a refrigerator, it only holds so much. It's just so temporary. And the stress is so permanent.
It is.
Yeah.
And it takes a long time to, even when you get a place, to not operate under that kind of...
Girl.
You know what I mean? That kind of... And you know, like your shoulders.
I have tenants who don't take showers every day, and the shower is right there in their unit. It takes 18 months to reacclimate yourself, and you may not even then.
And you may not then.
Most of my tenants are male, and if we go into their unit, a lot of times when we clean out a unit because they've been evicted or whatever, they died or whatever, we will still see bottles of urine. Because when they were in the tent, that's how, yeah. And the toilet is right there.
Yeah.
Like all over the apartment, it will be like, why? And I'm like, oh, that's that reacclimation. Like, this is how I used it when I was out there.
So.
I only go to the toilet if I have to take shit.
Oh, shit.
I'm a dude. I got to piss 5 times a day. Why would I? Yeah. So it's like, it's very interesting. Yeah. The part of like. Yeah, it's PTSD of a different extreme. You know, I was like, wow, so you inside, but you really still... And it's almost like they don't want to lose it. Yeah.
It's me and... I am just now in a space where I can actually carry a small bag.
Yeah.
That's like how you have a whole... You don't have to... You don't...
Right, you don't have to take your water, your this, your... You know, it ain't got to be on your person, girl. You coming home. Right?
You can go home.
I have a friend like that. He got 2 bags. I'm like, where are you going?
You don't have to have a change of clothes, bro. You can keep that at home. We can stop by the crib.
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn, and it's true.
Yeah, that's the PTSD that, you know, like now, how do I... And then, like I said, a lot of my clients, they don't want to lose that edge because this feels temporary. Like I haven't had this.
It can be taken away.
It can be taken away. Yeah.
Damn. It's true though.
Yeah.
Like they're not lying.
Right.
But you live like this can go away.
The only people who don't know it can go away are the people that haven't had it taken yet.
Yeah.
They don't know.
Yeah.
They're in a bubble. But yeah, once you had it taken away, whatever the loss of freedom is, whether it was incarcerated, you know now.
It can be taken away.
It can be taken away. Mm-hmm.
It can be taken away. Shit.
Yeah.
And you know, yeah, like.
Ignorance is bliss. It's so much better not to know that it can be taken away. Because once you know, you can't unknow.
You live here now.
Right? We can't go back. I know now.
You live here now. Don't pay your rent. You know what I mean? And and even like for here, I really don't have the luxury of being an hour late on the rent. You know, shit. After the 5th, my shit is there's a $20 a day.
Wow.
Charge. There is a $20 a day charge. So I don't even have, you know, I ain't an hour late. And it don't be easy.
Yeah.
You know, it don't be easy. But for me, and people are so quick to get a job thing, like that's the solution. But the truth is, first of all, jobs are one of my biggest triggers. Because, like, with my mental health, if I need to go to sleep, I need to go to sleep.
Right.
You know what I mean? And some random ass Karen ass boss can get it. You know what I mean? On any random day. And I need to be able to sit down. I need to be able to, you know what I mean? And like this week, I can't imagine if I was working at the, wherever the fuck people work, Lowe's, and I had to
Right.
go in. I could not imagine having to do that. You know, and the truth is, when I had a regular job, I was looking for $200 at the end of the month, then two, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I have been living as an artist since 1993. My eggs are pretty much in this basket.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like inside of, my art, I have, taught classes. I have regular shit in me, but
Yeah.
like to get a regular job at 55 with very minimal computer skills.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know where I would. I don't know where I would go.
I don't think that's your calling anyway. So
It's not, but it's
yeah.
not. But but they are such a trigger. Like I remember, like the shit you have to swallow, the microaggressions, the
Mm-hmm.
even from black bosses, almost
Mm-hmm.
especially, you know, um, like I remember I was working at this company, and I had my immediate boss was a black woman, but her boss was a white woman.
Mm-hmm.
And every now and then, like her boss, the white woman I'm talking about, she wasn't permanently in our office, but she would like rotate from so there was this maybe 3 or 4 month period where she was in our office.
Mm-hmm.
And let's call the black woman Sarah, okay? So Sarah is my immediate boss, and the white woman, let's call her Cynthia. Okay, so Cynthia, the white woman, would
Mm-hmm.
say to Sarah, "Sarah, get your black ass in here,"
Oh.
and Sarah would bring her black ass in there, right? And it just went on too many times than was comfortable for me. And at one point, like in a meeting one time, I was like, can you stop saying, can you bring your black ass in here? Because if I told the Jewish girl to bring her Jewish ass in here, you would have a motherfucking problem, right?
Right.
And so she was like, I mean, did I say that? I mean, if I said that, then I'm sorry. No pass, bitch.
Right.
But I still gotta work.
Right.
So I am the sort of hungry animal. Once I'm at, bitch, you got me fucked up. Once I'm there, once the bass comes out, there's no reeling that bitch back in. There's always, it's smoke between me and you.
Mm-hmm.
But I still gotta eat, and I don't have fuck you money, you know? So there was a constant me going to work and just looking at this white ass bitch.
Well, let's talk for a second about, especially since you live in Atlanta, which is, another chocolate city, which, of course they're getting more and more sparse, unfortunately, but more opportunity to work in all black environments. And where I work now in LA, which is very sparse on the blackness, I happen to work with all ethnic staff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right. Right. And in Westwood, girl.
Okay.
Right. So, but what I've noticed, the challenges I've noticed for that, as much joy as we have and as much freedom we have in like feeling safe to be black. Because what I usually tell my white friends is that in a lot of spaces, you get diet black from us, or you get black light. We tone it, we water it down.
We do.
So that for your consumption.
For your consumption.
Yeah. And they don't understand that, right? And so in this environment, we don't. Mm-hmm. We just black because we black. But what I've noticed is that black trauma, I don't know what your level is in a black environment, and so I have to deal with everybody's black trauma. Yeah. And then there is also a thing of like one of my coworkers has a doctorate degree. He has a master's. He lives with a white woman. His first wife was white. His biracial kids are all with white partners.
Yeah.
And so, but he's black. And we have very good conversation. Yeah, right. We have very good conversations. Like he'll come in, we talk about jazz, we talk about books, because as an artist, of course, I am culturally acceptable to him.
You're not like one of them.
I'm not like one of them. But then he's black too. So I feel like it's just a very interesting relationship I get to have with him, right? Like he probably wouldn't date me, but he is intrigued that he can talk to me and on his level. So we got that. And
in that environment.
Yeah,
you're not coming over.
Right. We are not we are friendly. We're not friends, but we are friendly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't approach him if you should see him on a Friday night with his boo.
Right. And even when he brings in his lunch,
black ass to the table, okay?
Even when he brings in his lunch, he'll have like quinoa and this and that and stuff, and I'm just like, and I'll tease him. I say, I know you miss some black food. I just know you. I was like, you come in here with one more beet salad. I know you just. So I was like, one day I had some neck bones and some rice, and I said, you want some of this? I said, you probably wouldn't know. It's been a long time, and he just laughed, so he gets it. And then there's another guy I work with who's like other side of the spectrum. Very kind of streetwise, and not as culturally eclectic. Likes to he smokes pot. He likes to go to Jamaica. He listens to a lot of reggae. He's cool. I like him. It's good. Mm-hmm. In the sports, basketball, dates black women. Many black women at the same time, and then he has this whole thing about black women too.
Of course he does.
And so it's like these two men that have this mentality about us. Neither of the mentalities are good, but they occupy two different spaces. Very interesting. Then I work with another woman. I think she has a master's degree. She's a social worker. And she is very from Chicago, and she's very she's very much into the office politics.
Her.
There's
always a her.
There's always a her. She'll come in with the raps, and like she's got the thing, but she's very much like.
And you need to have them X9 forms in by
right. She'll open her office door and she'll be like, yeah. So anything that we need to talk about needs to be communicated in an email. We're no longer going to do office visits that's not documented. And it's just like, sister girl, like why can't we just be? So yeah, she's like that. So it's like a very interesting dynamic of like blackness, where I'm like, okay, so we're all cool being black, because like there's times where all four of us are in the lobby and we just kikiing and we just like, look at us, we get to be black. And then there are times where all four of us are in separate corners and we're kind of like hiding from each other, each other's different blackness.
And you do have to protect, especially I had a when you were describing the black guy with a white wife, I had a boss like that, and since he was big boss, he was loud about black women are just angry. He was loud about it.
So many unsolicited opinions about us from black men.
What's funny with black men is they can see racism 1,000 miles away, but can't see sexism right in front of their faces. Won't see sexism right in front of their faces.
No.
But they can see, and I get the sexism. I'm not even gay, but I get the homophobe because I must be gay because I'm a black bald-headed woman, so I must be gay. Mm-hmm. And I'm that, and I hate the term straight. I really do. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm too old school for cis.
I don't like it.
I don't really like cis. I'm too old school for cis, but I don't like the term straight, right?
Right.
But for lack of a better word, I'm that straight woman who, I ain't gay. It's not
right.
What the fuck I am. I don't even like straight people who do that. Like, why? Because when they say it with such a, I'm not one of them.
Yeah.
And I'm not if you think I'm gay, then I mean, unless, and I never say that I'm not, unless you are trying to hit on me and you're a woman, then I say, oh, you know what, I'm flattered, sis, but
Right. Yeah.
that's not, but I thank you, shit, you know. So I get all of the, you know, and this particular black supervisor who was big and loud on how black women are angry women was also fishing as to my sexuality. You know, I don't have a ring.
Couldn't figure it out, right?
You know,
what is going on over there?
Talk about a man, and I'm not that woman who, and I know women do this to protect themselves, but I don't have a fictitious man. My husband to protect it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't do that. If you gonna whoop my ass, you gonna whoop my ass, and that's what the fuck it's gonna be. You know what I mean? But I don't like, well, my man, I don't, it's so fucked up in this world that I have to make up a whole dude that you gotta stay off of me because of my pretend man. Like, my no ain't holy enough. No, I gotta be like, my man is gone. I gotta make him up. So, I didn't do that with him. I didn't make up some man. And I didn't say I was single. I just let him, you know, and he would try to bait me. You know, like, he was like, I can't get her on, the loud, angry black woman. And he couldn't. You know, and so he was like, maybe I'll try to get her on, you know, the gay side. Right. And he just could never get me, you know. But all of those kinds of things are what I'm talking about that I cannot deal with at 55 working. I can, and I work. Like, people have this assumption that as an artist you do. I put in 12-hour days in my home. You know, I am writing, I am painting, I am marketing the fuck out of my shit, you know. Right. And most of my shit sells on Facebook, of all places. So I'm always okay, I got a sale today. Right. So if you follow me on Facebook, that's what the fuck you gonna see. My Facebook page is not littered with, I don't know why white bitches be so mother. I give a fuck about this fucking right.
My rent is due.
You want this painting or no? Right. You go buy this book or no?
Like, what we talking about here?
Talking about, I don't. No, you know, during it's time to vote, I'm like, okay, sisters, we got to get out there and vote. It's that. Yeah. But on a regular ass day, I don't have the time. And I know that people look at my page and go, damn, you know. But just like McDonald's be pushing that nasty ass McDouble at you for $5. You know? Why not? And people who do say snide shit about me, none of them live from their art.
You know, I prefer a lot of social media as a platform for what people are doing personally than I do for their personal opinions.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Right. I'd much rather, you know, are you doing something? Okay, so, but you just spouting off about blah, blah, blah. Like, most of the people that I follow, especially on IG, I follow their art, whatever, whether they're singers or whatever they do, but just to following somebody because of their opinions, I don't really.
And I knew that I was kind of, the last few months, I was slowly coming out of, seeping into a depression, and I didn't recognize it. I haven't been to church in like 2 months. And I just thought one Sunday I didn't feel like it. And then the next Sunday I didn't feel like it either. And then the next Sunday, not that Sunday, it didn't dawn on me, you know, until I started connecting the dots. And then...
Now, I have a question about that, just an aside. So, that's not the case when you were on the lithium? Like...
The thing about being on meds, they do regulate your mood. Right. But I'm just... And I try to be... If you need to be on meds, I'm going to say to be on meds, right? I'm a different person. You're numb a lot. Like, no, you don't feel like killing yourself because you're a fucking zombie. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You're just kind of numb, and you're kind of going through the motion, and you're kind of who you are. Like, it's giving Get Out. It's giving somebody is running your body.
But you were still able to create.
I was able to go through the motions of creating, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I know that, how to paint a picture, and I know how to write a poem, but just there's something inside there's a soul that's missing. But you not gonna shoot up a school either.
Right. Now, as an artist and as a spiritual person,
I would rather not be on meds.
right. But I guess what I'm getting at is the spirituality part about us as artists. Artists suffer from depression, alcoholism, suicidal ideation. That's always been kind of in our wheelhouse. And I feel like it's always been because God gave me, you, my daughter, all these artists that I know, this extra sense to feel this world very acutely. We have this, like we see it in color. Like I feel like everybody else is kind of like it's already necessitized for them. They're going through it in black and white. So, like the scars don't scar so deeply. And then with us, it's Technicolor.
Yeah.
It's the sounds are sounding and the scents are sensing. And, like I'm looking at a situation and somebody will see something and, a homeless guy eating out of the trash, wiping his out on the shit on the street. And I'll see it like, do you not see this? Like, how can you just walk by and go to work and just leave it? Like, how does this not stay with you? And I feel like then we create from that space. Mm-hmm. But that space also exposes us to like too much.
To feel everything.
It's like it's a sensory overload.
It is a sensory.
And so
and the medication does that.
But then I can't really reach my art because I can't see.
You is
right.
Or.
So I feel like God gave me the Technicolor, but it's a blessing and it's also a curse. Like I'm giving you this Technicolor, Michael Jackson, but it's gonna blow your mind if you don't, like if you don't get and a lot of us we go over the edge because it's just like it's too much. Or we only wanted, Prince. I want him on the stage when I'm in the studio. I don't need it 24/7. You got it 24/7.
And then it's funny that you mentioned the homeless. Like, I remember we had an office lunch, and offices do bullshit shit like that. Like how you just declare it's a how to say we're eating lunch. We're having an office meeting during lunch, so everybody's eating lunch. I was gonna sleep
right in my car away from y'all.
So it was one of those days. But on this day, instead of we're eating lunch in the office, we're eating lunch at the whatever restaurant was. Mm-hmm. How do you even know I got funds for it? Whoop you whoop, right?
Right.
So we're eating lunch there. So this is one of those days we're eating lunch there, and so we're finished eating lunch, we're going outside, and there's this black guy, and I'm about my people, right? And there's this black guy, and he's asking people for money. And he ain't rude about it. He like, hey, he says, can you spare $1? He's that.
Yeah.
And so we get outside, and he's like, hey, sis, And so I'm reaching, because you're not going to be hungry on my watch. Mm-mm. And I can do something about it.
Right.
So as I'm going to him, one of the guys that I work with, he like kind of like grabs my shoulder and was like, oh, no. And I was like, and he said, no, don't give him any money because he was begging by the office the other day and I saw somebody give him $5 yesterday.
One of those people.
I mean, I don't know how your stomach works, but right. I have to eat every day. Mm-hmm. So $5 yesterday is gone. and maybe he used. I mean, why am I even explaining this to you, white guy?
Right.
And I can't not. And I never saw him the same. The guy, the white guy that I was with, I never saw him the same. Like, fuck you.
But that lack of compassion and empathy, I have found in a lot of people, in that regard, and that I feel like that's another component to my technicolor is my, I'm an empath. I'm a, like it's, and so I feel very deeply. I'm sober. I'm 22 years sober.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it's part of like my story is, now I feel all of it, and how I bridge that where I don't have to check out from the thing that God gave me is, like I go to meetings and stuff. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm still feeling it. I still feel the overwhelming part when it gets overwhelming. But then instead of going to drinks and drugs, I go over here. I've switched habits, and then and over here is God.
Oh, okay.
And then you guys get to say it's okay. Yeah, you're having some feelings. We understand. We technicolor over here too. We we your people. So I go with my people, and I'm just like, and then and then they're like, yeah, I saw it too, and and then we calm each other down, and then we can get back to the world without it being black and white. So I like that. I don't want it black and white, but I also don't want it to overwhelm me. I don't want the sensory overload.
And that's me in jobs.
Yeah.
Like that, and I don't like it. So when people say, just get a job already, damn. I don't know how to. I would have to have this whole conversation with them to explain why I don't work at Lowe's.
Mm-hmm.
I really, and jobs that I did have, I physically cannot do anymore.
Yeah.
Like I work as a home health aide. I'm 55. Fuck. I need a bitch to come in here. You know what I mean?
You're like, where's my worker?
And I physically, I don't have it in me to lift you from the bed to the chair, to give you a bath, to put you back in the chair, to put you back in I can't, that was when I did that. And you thought regular white folks was on some bullshit. You ain't seen bullshit until you have changed the diaper of a 99-year-old white bitch. That's why a woman told me, her family did tell me, Mom's very racist. I'm sorry. Like already, I'm sorry. And I was like, you know what? She is what she is. So I kind of went in knowing, and but the level was wow.
Wow.
She would not allow me to be in the room with her unless I was performing some kind of service, like if I'm giving her a bath, if I'm actively doing, Otherwise, I had to be in the living room. She had a very long hallway. So the first week I'm there, I'm sitting there, and she would say, "Help! Help!" So I'm like, shit, so they're about to die. So I'm running in the room, and she was like, "Can you hand me that newspaper?" I'm like, "Okay, bitch, here's your newspaper." Okay. So I leave, and I go back in the room, in the living room. Help! So we do this for a week, and I'm fucking slow, so it takes me a minute to get. She is not asking for help. She is calling me
the help. Yeah.
Right? Like, fuck my name.
Right.
I'm help. Right? Help! And it just sounds urgent because she needs that much energy so that I will actually hear her.
Yeah.
But I'm help. That's who I am.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, here we are. And then one day, like the access vans, they, access, they take the vans for the older people. So she had a doctor's appointment, and so we called an access. Access shows up, and it's a we're coming from the doctor actually. So it's a young black guy, and he's he's cool. She's in the front seat, I'm in the back seat, but I'm sitting behind him, so I can see him in the rear view. So we get to her condo,
Mm-hmm.
and he's parking, and he is not trying to block the driveway. And so it's a little bit back. And so and I understand what he's doing because we're going to be there for him. And I get it. You don't have to explain nothing. So she says, can you pull up a little bit, meaning closer to, but what the fuck difference does it make to you, white bitch? You're in a wheelchair. You're not walking. I'm the one pushing your white ass. So what the fuck?
Right.
So, so he was like, she said, pull up a little bit. So he looked in the mirror at me, and I was like, stay here, you're good. So he ignores her. So she says, oh, you didn't understand? I'll say it in your language. Pull up, rat, cheer.
Language.
Because he didn't understand.
Wow.
He didn't understand, so I'll say it in your language. But I could write a whole book on, I forgot her damn name, but I could write a whole book on her. Okay, the last one I'm telling you. So I'm changing her. And we're watching TV. And so she says, and then this is gross. But I'm changing her. I'll spare you the gross part, but I'm changing her. And we're watching TV, and she had a bowel movement, right? And so she's talking, and she was like, is that Charlie Sheen? Whoever. And I'm like, no, that's, I don't know, Matthew McConaughey, whoever.
Right.
And so she was like, no, I think that's Charlie Sheen. And some days I would give it to her, and some days, no, bitch, that's Matthew McConaughey, whatever his damn name is, right? And so she was like, oh, well, if you're wrong, and she did not speak in a Southern accent, but she did for me.
Uh-huh.
Because I guess that's the only language I understand.
Wow.
If you're wrong, can I rub it on your face? Her shit. To me, you would be a little nicer.
Yeah.
To me, you're in a very vulnerable position. To me, you would know I could fuck you up right now. To me, you would give me a little bit of kindness. But nope. Like,
But she understands that she has the power to ruin your life.
Oh.
With just a phone call. An accusation.
Listen.
A lie
She
that would
does
never
that.
be investigated.
Never.
Just on the fact that she said it. It would never be
Her
investigated.
99-year-old racist ass did have the power.
Isn't it here that the Indian guy is in jail because the white woman said he kidnapped her, tried to kidnap her daughter?
But it wouldn't surprise me.
Uh-huh.
But it wouldn't surprise me.
From the Walmart.
It wouldn't surprise me.
And I kept wondering if he voted for Trump. I was like, I feel like, because a lot of the Indians I've met, like from India, I was like, I bet he was just helping her get something off a shelf. It's all on camera. He's been in jail for 40 days.
That's the kind, bipolar, whatever kind of mental shit or not, living while black is just a different. Mm-hmm. It's a different.
He's a Patel. He is from India, and I'm sure he thought, I'm not them, and I'm like,
I'm not them.
But you're not them.
But you.
That's what you don't understand.
That's what they don't get.
You all are so busy separating yourself from us that you don't understand that you have been grouped with us by them.
You are not them, boo.
You are not them. And that's why you sat in jail for 40 days on the testimony of a white woman who made an unfounded accusation, and she will never serve any time or anything.
Why would she?
Yeah. At best, they might let you out and be like, oh, you know what? We're sorry. We did watch the video. You were helping her. Her child fell off the handicap chair that she was in. She just rides it around because her kids like to ride in it. She can walk. So she rides it around Walmart. He was asking her directions. The kid falls out. He picks the kid up and puts it back in the chair. He goes about his business. The whole camera shows him checking out, whatever.
Oh, he wasn't a Walmart worker.
No, he was a customer like her. And then she called the cops later. They picked him up at his house 2 days later, based on the receipt he paid with a credit card. So they found him based on her accusation and arrested him. He didn't leave the store with the kid. He didn't run out of the store. He paid for his stuff. I was like, are you kidding me? And a white woman who was not supposed to be in that chair in the first place, but was taking joyriding on her kid, said, that man tried to take my kid in 2025. And they picked him up. They put him in jail. He was in jail for 30 days. His family had to get a lawyer. The lawyer subpoenaed all the tapes and put the story together. Nobody investigated with the woman. That's why he was in jail so long. Nobody investigated. And then when the lawyer she showed the judge, she was like, this is a customer. They even showed him talking to the lady in the wheelchair and the kid falling off and him putting back on and her going, oh, it's over there. Like, she wasn't screaming in Walmart or anything. I was like, are you kidding me?
These days, I can't take it.
Yeah, I think it was Georgia, somewhere in Georgia.
It wouldn't surprise me.
And I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, that poor Patel, and he probably voted for Trump.
White people got me fucked. They on some. I gotta, like, just for my mental health, I gotta stay off of this. I was watching this bitch last night. White woman, and she was like, I mean, if, we did the blacks. First of all, she had me at the blacks, okay?
Wow.
Like the blacks. She was like, the blacks, are saying we're gonna have this race war, and if we did go to war with the blacks, they don't even know how to shoot a gun, and the blacks and I'm like, these fucking people are letting President Trump gonna get their ass fucked up. Don't let your president get you fucked up like that. Don't. And they're acting how they thought we would act when Barack was president.
Yeah.
And we knew that even though there was a black man in office, he wasn't gonna superhero for us.
Yeah.
We all knew that. I mean, we were glad that we were there.
Yeah, but we understood he made it there through bipartisan. We're only 11% of the American population. We did not put him there. They put him there for sure.
For sure.
Y'all put him on the map, so he's going to have to toe the line and play both sides.
But
we get it. We're glad he's there.
Like, these white people are, there's video after video of white women like, Trump's in office, I can say nigger. And I'm fucking tired of saying, this white woman said the N-word, because the bitch did not say the N-word. The bitch said nigger. Okay? Yeah. Like, we pretty it up for them.
Yeah.
We pretty it up for them.
Mm-hmm.
And that has never worked ever. It only hurts us when we pretty shit up. For anybody. I was dating this guy. We were living together, and we are in an argument. It's not, but it's an argument. And he punched, not me, but he punched a hole in the wall in our bedroom. And I'm, 21, 22 or whatever, and I'm stupid. And to me, if you're going to be a man enough to punch a hole in the wall, you should be man enough to fix that shit.
Right.
But no. And so it never got fixed. And I'm not going to live with a hole in the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And so what do? Is buy a red, black, and green flag and a plant stand and put the flag over the hole and put the plant, and now it's beautiful.
Right.
I prettied it up for him. So why wouldn't he continue his abuse?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to pretty it up.
Right.
And it's the same for them. We don't say diversity, equity, and include. We say DEI, and we pretty that shit up for them. Mm-hmm. We say, she called me the N-word, and we pretty it up for them. I ain't met a white bitch yet that said N-word. These bitches say N-word. These bitches say nigger.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm going to start saying. Because that's what you called me. You know what I mean? So when I report it, that's what I'm reporting. But like it is, it's enough. And so add on to that, having mental shit, and it's safer in the house for me sometimes.
Mm-hmm. So since you've moved from LA to Georgia in the year of our returned president,
It's crazy out here though.
mm-hmm.
There was a black woman. She works for FedEx, which is a big company. Works for FedEx. Lives in Georgia, and she was on TikTok the other day, and she was like, "There are areas in Georgia that, as a black person, I'm not allowed to deliver to." This is 25, and sundown towns are real
Mm-hmm.
and still exist here. And like I am thankful that I live in the city, but it don't exclude me from bullshit. This
Right.
is a pretty progressive like little town here, but it don't. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just don't. You know what I mean? You can be black, but you can't be one of those black.
Right.
You can be the. So it's you know.
They're like, just water it down,
Water it down.
make it palatable.
Water it down.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as we keep it watered
Mm-hmm.
down,
Keep your blackness for our consumption.
just keep it. Yeah, just keep it. Just keep your music toned and keep. Don't.
I was thinking about when you said pretty it up. My first husband was white, from Tennessee, Murfreesboro, Tennessee, small town, and we loved each other. He still to the day, I still love that man, and we've been divorced since 2004. Yeah, we divorced in 2004, but we're good friends. And I remember I don't think were we married yet? We dated for like 5 years. We're married for like 2.5. So we were together for like almost 8 years, almost 8, not quite. And we were somewhere doing something, and we might have been doing something black. And I was comfortable enough to talk how I talk. And he stopped and said, "When did you start talking like that?"
Oh, shit.
And I said, like what? He said, I've never heard that accent, the black accent. And I said, what? And he had never heard me talk black. And I didn't realize that I had never done that with him, because I said, wow. And I wasn't shocked that he hadn't heard it for his sake. I was shocked that I hadn't done it, because I'm black. I was like, I said, you've never heard me talk. I said, I've never spoken. I said, so what do you hear come out my mouth? And he was like, well, like how you talk. He was like, I've never heard. And I might have been saying like, oh, this some bullshit right here. This motherfucker got me fucked up. Right? I was probably reading somebody. He was like, who is that? Right? Where did she come from? And I was like, who you looking at, nigga? What you? He was like, oh, he was just shocked, right? But I was more shocked that we had been together. I mean, living together, we doing things, and that never came out. And it's because I unconsciously was making him comfortable.
That's what we do.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry, because I am from Detroit, Michigan.
Right.
I wasn't even raised with white people. I was like, wow, I never showed you that. I was like, that's a long time, because we had to be at least 5 years in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we were years in.
Wow, where did that come from?
Right? He was traumatized, but he was kind of turned on. He was like, can you do that more? And I was like, I don't know in what scenario that you and I would be conversing like this. Right?
What is this having fun?
Right? Yeah, right. I mean, I can't even remember what I was saying, but whatever I said, they brought the nigga out in me. I was like, and he was like, who? So it's just, and so that just reminded me of that. I was like, man, I can't believe that.
That's funny.
I let, him be so comfortable, in his space for so long.
And it's funny, I experienced that, but I really am not in around white people like that, to be honest with you. But I experienced that with new men. Men always think, men that don't know me,
right,
think they think, they know I'm a poet, and you don't meet somebody like, but you don't meet
right,
somebody
right,
so
right.
they think, oh, okay, but I exposed them quickly to this how I be talking.
Right.
I do not go to McDonald's and order a number 5 with cheese in the sexy voice. It goes down. Right. So when I'm with my friends, that's how I'm gonna talk to you.
Right. I just you got to let them know, like, look, my code switching game is smooth. I do it so I don't even have to. I switch lanes, but please know and believe. Yeah.
And I don't really, and the white people I am around are so much younger that, and they don't control my money. They're not a customer. They're not a boss.
Right.
Why do I need to code switch for you?
Right.
So I'm not around, like, I don't have a supervisor like that. I live a blackety black life.
Yeah.
Blackety black church. The woman who owns this condo who is a black woman. The company that I work for, where I'm an artist in residence, they blackety black there.
Yeah.
So I do see white people, but not to the point that I need to fix shit up. You know what I mean? Like, if I go to the bank, it's my motherfucking $20, so give me the shit. I'm not at the trying to get a loan. I don't get pulled over. I haven't been pulled over in a long time. So I don't really see white people that damn, when was I? I was at the dentist recently, but I don't really see white people like that. Not I got code switch back for them.
I do it mostly because I don't have time to explain myself to you.
Yeah.
And I don't want to. So I'll just talk your language. We'll stay over there.
Yeah.
We'll stay with you because I don't have time to give you the backstory or explain something to you. And I have some really close white girlfriends that I've had for years that I absolutely adore. And I have this one white girlfriend, she got some black dick, girl. She got divorced from her white husband. She got 2 kids, and she got a piece of black dick in Hollywood. So it was black, but
Right.
And so, but that took her on a Jones. Like, I don't know what he did, but he put it down, right? So she was like, I want to date black guys, and I was like, okay, girl, look, they're dating. Y'all popular now. She's cute. I was like, this could be your life. Let's do this. Let's make this happen. Right? I'm not, because I'm like, I don't even fight anymore. I was look, they want y'all.
They do want y'all.
You just have to make the decision. This is gonna be easy for you. It's gonna be easier for you to date a black man than me to date a black man. So let's go. I'll live vicariously through you. So she set out on her black mission to get some black dick, and she met this guy, and I could tell by the way she was talking that he was black for real. He wasn't Hollywood, right? Because she was like, he's very different. And I was like,
he's from south of the bush.
And I said, oh, okay, how is he? And she said, well, he's from Detroit. Now I'm from Detroit. Okay. And I was like, oh, okay. And that's right there. I said, oh. But she was confused because we've been friends for over 20 years. So much like my husband, I hadn't gotten black with her, right? So I said, and so I had to explain to her. I said, oh, so I'm from Detroit and you're wondering why he's different. I said, okay, I'm actually like him. Right, but I don't give you that. I was like, I bought her down for your consumption.
Right.
And I have been doing that for 20 years because I want to make you feel comfortable and I don't have time for the backstory. So, I can't explain things to you. So I meet you over there. If you speak Chinese, we just speak Chinese.
I do
right.
Too. Right. Because you can't do this. So
it's like my girlfriend who's from Belize. Like she, when we went to the Belizean restaurant, she started her patoes. I was like, I didn't even know she spoke like that. I was like, she said, girl, if I don't, I won't get the good food. Right. And I was like,
and she ain't lying.
Yeah, I said, I didn't even know. And she was like, girl, I'm from Belize. I said, I know, but I never knew that you spoke Belize. She said, we're speaking English. I said, I don't know what you're speaking, but go ahead and get us some food, right? And we got the good stuff too. But same thing. So I was like, well, explain it to me. And she said, And she got racist, but she didn't know it. You know, white liberal, voted for Obama, both, but they don't understand the racism of their belief of what our place is. And so she said, well, he's very gritty, but he's very educated. And he's, you know, like she never met the combo.
Right.
No, because he's from Detroit.
Oh.
So she didn't, that's what she hadn't met. She met the Hollywood, she met watered down versions of black people. And so that she understood, but she didn't understand how you got a master's degree and you still nigger, you know, like you, right. So he's giving her like, so I had to explain to her, I said, and I, you know, I was like, okay, I get it. You know, I'm not going to be abused. And I said, okay, so I said, honey, okay, so Detroit is like this. I said, it's being gentrified now, but very slowly. I said, we're still at 79% black. Oh, wow. I said, the only blacker city in the USA is Memphis. And Memphis is not as big as Detroit. Yeah. Okay. And I told her, I said, when I was growing up, because I was born in 1970, like you. And I said, when I was
69.
You 69? Oh, my birthday is Sunday. I'll be 55. And I said, in the 70s and 80s, Detroit was at 89% black. And I was like, and the other 11% was, well, we call them Arabs, but they're Arabs. I was like, I told her, I said, I didn't know anybody white. I said, I didn't meet anybody white. There was a white secretary at my black Catholic school with my black nuns. Yeah, if anybody that we met that was non-black, they were Arabs. They worked in the stores or the gas stations, owned them. And I said, but everybody was black. You didn't see anybody white forever. And so we grew up in a very safe to be black place. And I told her, and I said, and I was like, it sounds like to me, if we are black, you think that we are also poor or uneducated. I said, so Detroit has levels. I was like, so you got your rich people, you're affluent, you got your upper middle class, your upper working class, your working class. I was like, but we all black. And I said, so you're meeting this guy, and it sounds like he's very black, but also, you know, probably went to some HBCU or whatever and got some advanced degrees. Because she was like, yeah, she's like, it's just so gritty. She kept saying gritty. And I don't know what that meant, but I do know what it meant, right?
Right.
And so she said, he's a principal. And she's like, he's a principal at a South LA school. She was like, he lives in Leimert Park. I was like, okay, so he's keeping it black, right? I was like, he moved to LA, but keeping it black. And I was like, and I told her, I said, I'm surprised he's dating a white girl. Because he sounds like he wouldn't, you know, Detroit, keeping it black. And then she was like, yeah, but he was into her, right? And so I told her, I said, okay, so you're about to have a really black experience. I said, this is good. This will explode. And she was like, well, what does that mean? I said, you listen to black music? Because we used to live together, she and I. Oh, okay. And I know she don't. She, you know, she's kind of hippy dippy. She surfs, shit like that. Okay. So she's, you know, I like her, but you know, you still white. You white. And so when I asked her, I said, you listen to black music? She said, yeah. She's like, I'm listening to Stevie Wonder right now. I was like, And I was like, I mean black music. She was like, well,
but yeah, I know.
Girl, she said, last week I went to a John Baptiste concert. I said, okay, girl, John Baptiste is not black. She's like, yes, he is. I said, okay, listen. I said, when I say black music, when you are at a show, I need you to be in the minority. That's when you know you are at a black show. If you are at a John Baptiste show, I can tell you right now, I would be in the minority at a John Baptiste show. Right. And I was like, even though he is black on stage. So I was like, I'm talking like Mary J. Blige. You know, like, I was like, that's right. And I ain't even talking about rap because I feel like white people be at the rap shows. I'm talking about like some R&B. Like, I want you at Anita Baker. I'm like, that's where he's going to take you. He's going to take you to, you're going to see some black shit. Yeah. And not the spaces that. Yeah, right. Where we share. You ain't going to be at Coachella. You're going to be at, Coachella. And so she was like, oh, and she's got like a butt, right? And so I always told her, I said, right. And she said, you know how you told me I had a butt? And she's like, but I didn't know until I guess he was gripping that mug they made out. She said, and I said to her, do white guys like booty? She said, I thought they did. She said, but they don't like booty like this guy likes booty. I said he was all up on her. I was like, girl, look, I said, we going to keep talking because this is going to be an experience for you. But you know what? She didn't really like him.
Why?
Too black.
He was too black.
She didn't say that, but she was like, it's a lot.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
And you can't turn it off and on.
No. And he doesn't seem to
turn it off.
Yeah. I was like, he's probably been raised in blackness. And so he sees nothing wrong with him.
No.
Because there is nothing wrong with him.
There is nothing wrong with
him. And the people who are raised in, they know how to flex it a little bit more than maybe the people from DC or in some of the boroughs of New York or
he has that's me
or Oakland.
No reason to turn it off.
Yeah.
He has no reason to turn it off.
No. He did not grow up where he had to. So she was just kind of like
he's still talking like that when we went out together.
And he's a principal? Like what? Yeah, I was like, well, girl, go watch Lean on Me. One of them where the principal running around with a baseball bat. Like, I don't know. Girl, get acquainted. Like, yeah. Yeah, so she was so confused. She was just like, I don't.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, and I could tell she was choosing her words carefully. Mm-hmm. This woman I've known for so long. And I was like, and I told her, I said, it's a safe space. I get it. You know, like, I was like, I would not have this conversation with a black person that you know less than me.
Oh,
yeah. I was like, yeah, because they would probably be highly offended. Mm-hmm. And she was like, well, from what? And I was like, girl, I don't have time for the backstory. Yeah. Yeah. But that's just hilarious to me. So I don't know, maybe this will cure her whole thing about, I'm going to give me some black dick.
She should actually go to the sex store and get her a black dick.
I feel like Gritty Dude, she could get sprung on that. I was like, you might, because you gonna find that
all of him.
Right.
She wants a black dick.
Right. She wants the fetish. Right.
She don't want Leroy. She wants a black dick.
Right. And that's
she can take out of the drawer.
That's another conversation too, because I find that very interesting. I'm like, when white women say, I want to date a black guy, I'm like, there's no qualities in blackness. Like, you know, like when I want to date a guy, I like a guy who's funny. Right. I like a guy who reads. Right. I want a guy who, you better make me laugh. Right. Do you have a job? I want a guy who takes me out. Like, I have criterias that are not, I want a white guy. I don't want a white guy. I have a list of things I want, and whoever is sharing my space. So yeah, it's always interesting when like, oh, I date black guys. I was like,
so I don't understand what that means either.
Right. What does that mean?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
You want a black dick.
Yeah.
You want to go to a touch of romance on La Brea, and you want a black dick, which is not the same as you want all 6 feet of him. You don't want all 6 feet of him. You don't want his mama. You don't want his sisters.
No.
Aunties, him. You don't want Sunday dinner. You don't. You don't want smoke from the sisters at his church. You want a black dick. So they not lying.
Yeah.
You hear like black women do for white women that we like the same thing that we do for black men that we like. Like for instance, a man will say, a black man will say, whoopsie whoop. That's and part of that whoop whoop is fucked up. We'll put it through a filter and go, well, he said la la la, but I mean, what he meant was, but that's not what the fuck he said. Right. We clean it up in our filter because we want to like him. Right?
Yeah.
But that's not, but if you just take what he said and make your decision to stay based on what he said, you would leave. Right. But we clean it up. I mean, like, he did call me a bitch, but the way he was raised, and so what he meant was but he said, you know what I mean?
And we'll even defend it by taking up our part.
hell yeah.
Like, we deserve that shit.
Yeah.
You know, and I was in his face, and I did say something about his mom.
What
you know, it's like...
said was, but we clean that shit up for white women that we like, too. So, I mean, she did say nigger, but she was just like her, she meant he pulled the trigger. I mean, like, we will clean that shit, but if you just take what they say and go, oh, okay, I'm gonna take you at your word.
Yeah.
And so, and that's what and even like with men, that's what I do now. Like, I don't care if you misspelled it in the text. You said, this is what you said. Maybe you should have put a comma there and it would have changed the situation. And I can't, with my editor's eye, just insert comma here. Like, I know he meant to say. Nope, you said. And so...
Well, would you allow them, though, to clean it up themselves? Because...
It depends.
I feel like in the human capacity...
I'm not saying I'm right.
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm right.
Right.
I'm saying, for me, I don't really... So I was... I almost said dating, but we really didn't go out on a date. I don't know what we were doing. Whatever I was doing with this man, we were doing that. And I told you, the police department is right across the street. You can't tell it's the police department because it's the back of the police department, but all the police cars are right there, right? And if you need to